Number 10. Mordovia Pagan Treasure Trove. Deep in the forests of Mordovia, in the Ruzayevsky district of northwestern Russia, lies the burial sites of 400 Mordovian pagans. Dating back to the 18th century, 600 skeleton remains, hundreds of ceremonial costumes, coins, and jewelry were found by the Russian excavation team by the name of Expedition. It is the largest find in the area, with a known excavation site of 32,615 square feet, which opened it up to wannabe treasure hunters attempting to sneak onto the site, hoping they can take a piece for themselves. The excavation team had to resort to hiring round-the-clock security, as they could only unearth so much at once, and locals were coming daily to take a look at the immense excavation site. The site was considered to be a Kalmalayai, or river cemetery, translated from the original Mokshan language. It has proven to be a fascinating look into how the pre-Christian/Russian pagans performed their burials. They were buried together in an almost embrace, with the position of one woman's remains laying her hand on a man's chest, showing a view into their beliefs about the afterlife. Besides the cultural treasures of the centuries-old burial site, the excavation team was also able to uncover women's brooches, glass beads, and rings. Furthermore, in the findings were men's belt buckles, knives, ancient screws and fasteners, and even full armchairs. While this site might not be the classic pirate's chest full of gold, the cultural treasure that this site provides is beyond any level of measurable wealth. Number 9. 900-year-old sword. Some people say that Israel is home to an entire universe of treasures, both ethereal and worldly. For one lucky scuba diver by the name of Shlomi Katzin, he discovered an underwater site full of ruins, ancient pottery, and a 3-foot-long broadsword dating back to the 11th to 13th century. After swift undercurrents moved enough sand and material away, the marine creature-covered handle, hilt, and blade were clearly visible. Now, normally, scuba divers never touch artifacts so as to not disturb the dive site or what might be lurking underneath. However, Katzin knew this rare treasure might be covered again, so he broke the diver's code and contacted the Israel Antiquities Authority, or IAA. During the 11th and 13th century, several European powers sent Crusader knights to Israel with the stated goal of freeing the Holy Lands from Muslim authority, and used the Carmel coast as the main launching point for multiple sea-based campaigns. According to the IAA, the sword most definitely belonged to a crusading knight, and they had even found other treasures at the same search site before. However, due to the ever-changing conditions on the Carmel coast, it's hard to discover what else the natural ship shelter is hiding under the waves. Number 8. $17 billion shipwreck. For the vast majority of us, we all wanted to be swashbuckling pirates at one point or another, finding buried treasure or looting Spanish galleons for all they're worth. For the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution and their underwater robot, they got to live that dream with the finding of the San Jose off the coast of Colombia in November of 2015. The San Jose was an impressive 62-gun, 3-masted galleon, holding a cargo worth roughly $17 billion US. It was sunk by the British ships during the Spanish War of Succession in June of 1708, taking its 600 souls aboard down with it. Most experts agree that with its treasure of gold, silver, and emeralds, it is the most valuable shipwreck ever found. The wreck was found at a depth of over 1,968.5 feet by using the latest sonar imaging technology for 2015. It wasn't until the research team piloting the underwater drone was able to get clear images of its dolphin-engraved cannons that they were able to confirm the ship's identity. Due to the wreck's immense treasure aboard, the Colombian government has been keeping the exact location of the ship a closely guarded state secret, but that hasn't stopped the legal battles from waging on who exactly is the rightful owner of the fortune. From the Colombian government to several other countries, and even pirate salvage companies, the most intense game of finders keepers is only just beginning. Number 7. The Amber Room Treasure. The Amber Room was said to be one of the 8 wonders of the world when it was constructed in 1716 for the Berlin City Palace by German designer Andreas Schluter and Danish amber craftsman Gottfried Wolfram. The room itself is crafted entirely of amber, gold, gemstones, and highly polished mirrors, and while considered to be priceless, its material cost was in the range of 142 million to 500 million US dollars. After its construction, it was moved a number of times before finding a home in the Catherine Palace in modern-day Pushkin, just outside of St. Petersburg in 1755. Fast forward to World War II and the Nazis are pushing into the Soviet bloc. They not only found the Amber Room, but also went about removing it and sending it to Königsberg to be put on display. During the Soviet counterattack, Hitler had the German army attempt to send the treasure home to Berlin via a steamer ship called the Karlsruhe. The Soviet Air Force ended up sinking the ship because if Stalin couldn't have the Amber Room, then no one could. It was said to be lost forever. That is, until in October of 2020, Polish divers from the Baltic Tech Group found what they believed to be the wreckage of the Karlsruhe. The wreck the Baltic Tech Group found was at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, the same sea it was sunk in, and was loaded up with Nazi military vehicles, porcelain, and crates full of unknown contents. Documentation from the time provides us with more evidence, as the ship was loaded with a large cargo and left Königsberg in a hurry. The Polish dive team seems convinced that they solved the mystery of the Amber Room. What do you think? Let us know in the comments if they found the remnants of the Amber Room or just another Nazi warship. And if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. The Farmer Viking's Treasure Trove. One could argue the life of a farmer is difficult at best, but a small farmer's life didn't get any easier after 2 treasure hunters found over 15.4 million US dollars in Viking coins outside Leicester in central England in 2015. 38-year-old George Powell and 51-year-old Leighton Davis found the coins on the land of Lord Colley and were known members of the English Metal Detecting Society. Normally this would be a great find that could rewrite English history, as the coins were from the 5th or 6th century and featured 2 very important faces: King Alfred the Great of Wessex and his contemporary, Ceolwulf II of Mercia. They were supposedly 2 rulers of the same land, implying that the 2 kingdoms had some kind of allegiance, and might disprove the later texts that showed Ceolwulf as merely a pawn for the Vikings. However, both Powell and Davis have been charged and convicted of theft and concealment of antiquities under British law. While in the ocean, it's more or less finders keepers, on British soil, any treasure hunters are required to report their findings of anything ancient or of value to the government within 2 weeks of the discovery. The government will still pay market price, and the landowner and finder may have to split the value. Powell and Davis didn't exactly do that. They sold several of the coins quietly on the black market. The pair got 10 and 8.5 years in prison, respectively. Out of the hundreds of coins found, only 31 pieces were retrieved. Number 5. Pablos Old Stash money. In Colombia, no one had more money than the king of cocaine himself, Pablo Escobar. According to Forbes, Escobar was the 7th richest person on the planet, and while his exact net worth is unknown, it was rumored that he spent over 20,000 US dollars on rubber bands alone just so he can bundle all of his cash. During the end of his career and life, he was forced into hiding while he waged war against the Colombian state to avoid being sent to prison in the US. Unlike his time spent in Colombian prison, he couldn't play by his own rules in the US prison system. That thought would make any man with that amount of power and wealth do just about anything to avoid capture. During his 2-year run from the law, he stashed several apartments and safe houses in Medellin, Colombia, with millions of dollars in cash, as a criminal billionaire does. While most of that money has gone untouched, one of Escobar's nephews living in one of these old safe houses found around $18 million in September of 2020. Nicolas Escobar claims that a vision helped him find the hidden wall containing the $18 million in cash, as well as an old pen, satellite phones, a typewriter, and an undeveloped roll of film. Unfortunately for Nicholas, some of the money was damaged and considered unusable, but only time will tell what was on the undeveloped film roll, and perhaps more clues to even more untold treasures. Number 4. Treasure Island. Seeming to have come out of a dollar store graphic novel, Crusoe Island should get the nickname Treasure Island after 800 barrels of loot in Incan gold coins and jewels were found. Most people haven't heard of Crusoe Island until 2005, when the announcement of the treasure by Wagner, the Chilean company leading the search, set off an ownership war between the treasure hunters and the Chilean government. It is said that the treasure is worth over $10 billion US. However, since its burial in 1715 by Spanish sailor Juan Esteban Ubilla y Echeverria, there have been centuries of claims of finding the long-lost treasure, with every single one turning up empty. Except in the case of the Wagner team, they actually have some level of credibility to their claim. What makes this one different is that a mini robot dubbed Arthur Tito was brought to the island to scan the proposed burial site. Arthur Tito was originally a crime-solving master scanner with a scanning range of 150 feet. Arthur Tito has reportedly pinpointed the location to an artificial tunnel under a thick slab of volcanic rock. There is a small hitch in the team's plan. The island is now a protected conservation area, and digging there in the manner that the Wagner team wants to proceed could be illegal according to the Chilean government. While the treasure hunters know where the treasure most likely is, they can't quite break out the shovels and pickaxes just yet. Number 3. Israeli Goonies. Working for a volunteer program with your friends can be some of the most rewarding times of your young life, but it's quite rare that your volunteer work rewards you with literal gold. In August of 2022, 18-year-olds working on the construction of a community in Yavne, south of Tel Aviv, Israel, uncovered 425 gold coins from over 1,100 years ago. While finding any artifacts from this time in Israel is rare, these coins were especially rare as they coined the names of several rules throughout the region, and most importantly, the production date and location. While a number of empires were at war or engaged in some kind of conflict at the time of this jar's burial, one very important thing has been proven due to this jar. Through war, trade, or some other means, having coins from multiple empires in one location means the money kept flowing and gives more insight into the trade and economic functions of the region at the time of burial. Now, on a more personal level to the original owner of the jar, the hoard of coins was found in a jar sealed tight with a nail and buried in a nondescript location, implying a number of things. First, the original owner meant to hide the stash for later use. Secondly, the owner clearly thought they would be able to return to its location. However, what caused the original owner to not be able to return to their small fortune is a mystery lost to the sands of time. So maybe next time your friend offers you a chance to volunteer out in the desert, take him up on the offer. Never know what kind of things you'll uncover. Number 2. China's 1,200-year-old pottery set. Up until 2005, our understanding of ancient China was that it was a backward agricultural society that was home to several pirates, but was never considered a seafaring nation. This idea was turned on its head when 47-year-old Tilman Walterfang found a multi-million-dollar haul off of the coast of Indonesia. What started off as a simple summer holiday scuba trip for Walter Fang turned into a 6-year-long journey into China's maritime history going back to the 8th century. With the help of local fishermen and local divers using improvised dive gear, such as homemade scuba masks and garden hoses acting as their gas bottles, Walter Fang recovered 60,000 relics ranging from porcelain to ceramic wine jugs to embossed gold and silver chalices and plates going back 1,200 years. This massive haul was originally sent to sail for Malaysia, India, and current-day Saudi Arabia via an Arab dhow, a type of Middle Eastern sailing ship. The location of the wreck implies the dhow crashed on the underwater reefs in Indonesia's Karimata Straits. This discovery radically changed our view of China, and more specifically, the Tang dynasty, which ruled from 618 to 906 AD, and their ability to set up maritime trade routes almost 200 years before the Spanish, Portuguese, and British. Currently, Walter Fang's personal collection stacks 15 feet in height in an aircraft hangar in New Zealand. Number 1. The Trier Gold Hoard. We all know the Romans were one of the most powerful empires to ever exist. They amassed one of the biggest empires in terms of land, power, and of course, treasure. For one German construction worker in 1993, his life was changed when he found one of the biggest hidden Roman gold hoards ever found. 2,516 Roman gold coins were found in the dirt under the construction site of a new car park in Trier, a small town close to the border of Luxembourg. This caused a mini gold rush in the city as everyone with a touch of archaeological knowledge and a metal detector rushed to the site to see if they could unearth a piece of the action. It was reported later that a few of the treasure hunters paid for their after-work beers with one of the coins. The hoard was worth 700,000 euros and featured several coins that researchers considered rare. The coins held the faces of 40 Roman emperors or their relatives, from Emperor Nero to Marcus Aurelius. This fact proved to researchers that during times of war or disease, the rich and powerful that feared for their lives would deposit some of their riches to try and aid them should they need to run for their lives. The Trier Gold Hoard shows that humans and their love for gold and fear of death has never really changed. If you like that video, considering liking and subscribing for more knowledge delivered straight to your notifications. What would you do if you found one of these mythic treasures? Let us know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching.